So of course, the first thing I asked him as soon as he said that was like, who killed the Z? This is the fishnet stockings at the strip club.
I'm almost a little bit embarrassed to point that out. I can't look at it anymore.
This week, I have honestly just been straight up obsessed with the Lotus Emira. This to me is one of the best looking cars on the road today. It's like that perfect blend of like simple meets, you know, moments of loud and expressiveness. It's everything that you would want in the design of a car, I think.
You don't get like that very often, so I've got to take you a little bit seriously. I know you've designed a thing or two in your days. This thing, it's a little bit of Cayman in the front, which is not necessarily a bad thing, and then it's a lot of 458 the further back you go. That really, as far as new cars go, and so many new cars are ruined by safety standards. Like the front of the car has to be high. You can't have these wedge-shaped things anymore. That's gorgeous.
The cool thing about it as well is you can see Lotus in it as well, right? Like you can, if you squint, you're sort of getting the Elise.
Even the gaps in the hood kind of feel Elise-like.
Yeah, it does.
Well, and it's being a Lotus, it's going to drive magnificently.
Yeah.
But it also, I was reading, it has a Toyota V6 in the back.
It does have a Toyota V6.
So it's also going to stay on the road for more than 15 miles.
Yeah.
Wait, you just said, oh geez, okay, so we're just off the rails now. It's a beautiful car. It's lightweight. It's probably fast. It has a manual.
3.5 liter V6, right?
But it comes from a Toyota.
Which means it'll run forever.
But what's a fast, like beautiful, especially British car if it's not just going to break down all the time and make you fall in love?
You're still going to have all the dashboard problems, you know what I mean?
The mirrors will still fall off midstream,
Yeah.
but the car will keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you. This is a fantastically beautiful
I mean, it comes with a manual as well, right?
Yeah.
Okay, now you're doing stuff to me.
Yeah.
I love the jet fighter ignition button.
Yeah.
Yeah, the nuclear missile launch option with the red cover. So this is great, obviously. That's great. What about down here? This is really, really hard to see, but what's going on down here?
Yeah, that's the shifter skeleton, right?
Right.
Basically a shifter with his pants down.
This is the fishnet stockings at the strip club.
Yeah.
Is what that is.
So I'm almost a little bit embarrassed to point that out. I can't look at it anymore, but it's the G string of shifters. It's the exposed linkage. So you've got like the Porsche Singer, $1 million car that has that. You've got the Pagani Zonda with the exposed, maybe the Spiker, that really awkward aviation sort of themed car has the exposed shift linkage. That is a hyper premium feature, I would argue, in a merely $100,000 car. That's kind of cool.
Yeah,
No, it's beautiful.
And you're right, it is straight up pornographic. Like the
That's why it's actually shaded behind
yeah, that's why it screams. They pixelated it. Like analog pixelated.
It's the equivalent of Vaseline on the lens.
Right. If we were to
just distorted enough.
if we were to zoom in on that, we would have an NC-17 rating. So that's the best we can do
Family
for
show,
everybody
family
out
show.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right though. Beautiful, beautiful car.
I love the 90s. I grew up in the 90s. And for some reason, like the rounded shapes and everything are really endearing to me, and I kind of like them. So this right here is from a boring brand, Mazda, but it is just gorgeous. Like you can't find anything like that's this simple and pretty for sale today. It has a little bit of C5 Corvette, I'll admit that, the mirrors, you know, maybe even the headlights.
And a little bit of Lightning McQueen. If the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man drove a car, it might be that one.
Yeah.
But joking aside, I actually like this car.
Yeah, agreed.
No, it's really, really pretty. And so my sister dated a guy in high school that showed up with one of these sheepskin covers on the seats.
Oh, you know why she was dating him too, like for the RX-7.
Absolutely. He wore a puka shell necklace, so it had to be the car. It wasn't the guy. But just a really cool car, and of course it has a Wankel rotary engine, like this weird, unique thing, turbos. Car manufacturers, though, sometimes they lose their way, and they go from this to this.
Oh
my goodness.
Basically,
Thanks for reminding me.
You take everything good about that last car, strip it away, and you're left with basically a Ford Explorer that went to Japan.
Yeah, this is fake. That's fake. The spoiler doesn't do anything. There's this funky third door. Like this is some of the
At least it opens the wrong way, though.
yeah, at least it's suicide.
There was actually, growing up in England, there was a family down the street that owned one of these, right? And I always thought that there was something a little fishy about them.
That was the Winkle family?
The Wankelmans. Yeah.
Yeah, well, and I guess the one design cue that they got right was the Wankel rotary
Headrest
thing and an exhaust pipe in the back, I think. So I can't help but think of the Three Dragons meme, where you've got something okay, and then you've got the RX-8. Just, let's move on.
Disaster of a car. So I actually preferred the pre-facelift RX-7. Sharper lines, crisper edges, things like that. Looked a lot more like the original 240Z. gorgeous, gorgeous car. Like this is the Japanese interpretation of the classic British sports car.
Yeah, I mean, put James Bond in that, right? And it's
I mean,
right there.
Yeah, you put Aston Martin badges around it, and it's in place.
And then someone in the passenger seat who's non-consensually doing things with him, like in the old movies.
Yeah, and first little bit of resistance, ejection seat.
Yeah.
Nice long hood, front engine, rear drive.
Beautiful, beautiful car. And it didn't like stay this pristine and this beautiful over its first run. By the end of the first run, it was at the 300ZX, which by all means was a fantastic car, very high performance for the day. It wasn't nearly as beautiful as this. I think we've got a picture of it here. Unfortunately, the purity and beauty of the Z car didn't persist throughout the entire first run. By the time they got to the end of it, it was the 300ZX, which was a little bit plumper, still by any measure a high performance vehicle, especially for the time. Not an ugly car, and in the 90s that thing was hot, right? So they stopped making this in 96. But it was a fantastic car.
There's a twin turbo version of this, right? Yeah.
I think that was the only version of it was a twin turbo by the time they were done. In fact, there was a commercial that was all about that. There was this guy like doing the voiceover, and it shows this car driving along, and he says, first they were chasing me in cars and they couldn't catch me. Then they were chasing me on motorcycles and they couldn't catch me. Then they were chasing me in jets, and just when they were about to catch me, twin turbo. It's a rad commercial for the 90s. And then very abruptly after this car, they killed it. They stopped making the Z. And a few years later, I found myself at a luncheon sitting next to a distinguished-looking gentleman that I had never met before, and I introduced myself.
Well, it was a luncheon and not a lunch, so.
It was a luncheon, yes. Yeah.
Fancy.
Yeah, exactly. So I introduced myself and blah, 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 I'm doing this and that. And then he introduces himself as the retired president of Nissan USA. And so, of course, the first thing I asked him as soon as he said that was like, who killed the Z? And I have to give the guy credit for two things. First was that he admitted it. Like, he acknowledged that he was the guy that made the decision to kill the Z. And the second thing I have to give him a lot of respect for is that he didn't punch me in the face the second I called him a bastard to his face. True story, true story. And then a few years later, and I like to think that it was because of that conversation and my involvement.
Well, he knew the wrong thing he committed as well.
Did. Yes, I mean, he was like sitting there with his tail between his legs. Like he knew he had screwed up. And I like to think that it was that, respect that my behavior engendered in him towards me that wound up bringing the Z back a few years later.
Of course.
Now, it was admittedly kind of a downgrade. I think.
So you're responsible for that?
Yeah.
Why take any credit? This thing was kind of a turd.
Yeah. So you brought back the Z, but you brought back that Z.
I'm afraid so.
Yeah.
Yeah. So a few years later, this one came back. Like, again, not objectively an ugly car, but nothing like the original. Like, nothing of the sex appeal of that 240Z. And it was, mediocre performing for the time, and just not a fantastic icon like the original.
What this is that president was actually pissed off at you. So he was like, I'm going to give that guy Z, but I'm going to give him
exactly what it deserves.
Yeah, I think it took him a long time. I mean, the first body style of this car was what, 04, 03, yeah. And but the one that just barely came out for 24 is significantly bad. I just saw one in a parking lot.
Yeah.
I'm not mad. It's pretty awesome.
It's a good looking. It looks a lot like the new Supra. Has that little ducktail. Yeah, it's a much better looking car.
Front engine, rear drive.
Yeah. Still a V6. It's much improved.
That's a pretty cool car. So it took Nissan another 20 years, but they haven't done so bad.